an insight into what's happening inside the Gaza Strip. It was controlled access with the Israel military, but nonetheless a rare chance to take a critical first-hand look at the landscape. Noga Tarnapolsky made this journey for us.
Behind me, you can see what remains of the Gaza City suburb of Shujaiya, a place where hundreds of thousands of people used to live. There are still one or two trees that remain standing, and we're told by the Israeli army spokesperson that the yellow line is located right behind that first line of buildings behind me. Of course, if it's almost impossible for us to discern, it's equally impossible for any of the people on the ground to be able to make sense of, and that has caused quite a few of the killings of Palestinians by Israeli forces during these past weeks of the ceasefire. The Israeli army spokespeople who have brought us into this area are emphasizing how many breaches of the contract were done by Hamas, including weapons that have been restocked in this area in some of the tunnels.
Noga Tarnapolsky in Gaza a little earlier, the destruction behind her that she was speaking about is very clear to see. And Noga joins us now live from Jerusalem for more on her visit to Gaza, embedded with the Israeli military, but nonetheless a trip that was important to take in order to see firsthand the scale of the destruction. And Noga, you saw it and you've talked us through what you were seeing in a very emotive way there. Before you go loose talking more about that, can I just ask you to just basically clarify for people who may not know precisely what is the yellow line?
Yes, and we learned quite a bit about it today. The yellow line is a line that is defined in the Trump ceasefire agreement between Hamas and Israel. It's the agreement that, in fact, ended fire, ended the active part of the war about 3 weeks ago now. However, the agreement was put together very quickly, and in the several maps that we were shown today by the Israeli military representatives, some on the record, some off the record, it became clear that the yellow line is something that is hastily drawn, and it didn't appear that there was a really clear perimeter for it. This became even much more, I would say, stark when we were in Shujaiya, the images you just showed, and Lieutenant Colonel Nadav Shoshani, the spokesperson for the army, pointed us really to something invisible, to a place where the line should be. If it was impossible for us to discern exactly where that line is, and it is impossible for the army to know, there's no yellow sign, there are no blocks stopping people from crossing. There's no physical barrier at this line. It's a conceptual line. This may explain how many people have been killed, how many Palestinian civilians. The Israeli army claims terrorists as well. Today, while we were there, in fact, the Israeli army announced that in the area in which we were visiting, I'm quoting now, 2 terrorists were killed crossing this yellow line. But there is no yellow line. The yellow line is in the sight of the beholder. And this is just one of these lacuna, one of these loose sections in the agreement, such as another one, who will disarm Hamas, right? Hamas is clearly still armed and active. So it was clear how, while the ceasefire is real and the war for now has come to a stop, how in a way this is all held together by cobwebs and really unclear, I would say, ideas and aspirations, but the real mechanisms to turn this ceasefire into a complete and total end to that part of this conflict, absolutely was not visible in this visit to Gaza today.
Where your look was going, the place behind you as you were speaking to us, I mean, clearly there, Noga, houses used to be there, people's communities used to be there, shops, businesses, that was where people lived.
Yes, in fact, the entire line of the panorama behind me, for any of our viewers who can zoom in a little bit, what you see is a wasteland, is simply mounds of rubble. And it's not just on the ground, Mark. this also reflects the quality of the air, as astonishing it is to say that. But because there are no structures, no signs of civilization left in this entire area, and instead we have just mounds of earth and rubble, the quality of the air, it's very, very filled with dust. There's nothing to impede the dust, and there is only dust. We didn't see a single civilian. Of course, we weren't able to interact with anyone, but you have this otherworldly sense being there with very little explanations. We weren't expecting significant explanations from the Israeli army, for whom it has simply become a matter of course that Gaza has been completely and totally destroyed, or most of it has. Certainly the parts we saw were completely destroyed. And there are no explanations offered. That extent of destruction has stopped with the ceasefire. But again, the devastation of the area, and also, I have to say, right behind us, the still existing risks for the Israeli communities that were minutes away from us. In fact, to go into Gaza, we crossed through the same, wire fence that the Hamas terrorists crossed through on October 7th, 2023. It was striking to see the same structure or a rebuilt version of it that we crossed through. But those communities, it appears, from everything we were able to see, certainly remain at very significant risk.
Noga Tarnapolsky, as always, thank you very much for the clarity and the insight that you bring to what is and continues to be an incredibly testing and difficult story to report. Noga Tarnapolsky, our correspondent in Jerusalem. We'll watch you, of course, for all developments on the situation in the Middle East.